Welcome back to theCUBE's studio here in the New York Stock Exchange. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, here part of the NYSE Wired program, theCUBE original, and the NYSE Wired community, an open community of people, experts. Community is open for collaboration, of course, connecting Silicon Valley, where our Palo Alto studio is, to Wall Street. Technology is the market. Data is driving the value of AI. If you have the right architecture, do the right governance and the right compliance, and the agents will all play out. Great conversation here. As part of our Mixture of Experts series, of course, we got Marcela Granados, who's been on theCUBE before. Great to see you, and it's been a couple of years. You're now Global Head of Insurance of Databricks. Good to see you. Thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, great to be here, John. It's always a pleasure.
So I'm a fan of Databricks.
Yes.
I've been following that company from the beginning, Dave Valentine and the whole team. But it just seems so bigger now. It's gotten the valuations. I mean, I think Series X financing, it's like soon to go public, so many rounds.
Hopefully.
But the value creating really from the data lake initial vision has gone, it's a developer dream scenario, AI is developer focused, agents are solving real world business problems. Ollie's been here in this studio. You're starting to see the real world impact, and in the vertical specifically, and you're covering insurance. So tell us about what you're working on right now, because you're starting to see a lot more people doing the work, grinding out the compliance, setting up the identity and security and privacy, and once they get that, the agents just unleash.
Yeah, no, so spot on. In insurance, when you look at a lot of the consulting companies estimating which is the industry that would be ripe for success for agentic AI in general, insurance comes on top, because of all of the unstructured data that insurance companies may have. So think about video, images, text, and audio. So coming off of our financial services forum that we had just a couple of hours ago, we talk about the evolution of the use cases on AI, and the functions are the same. So think about call centers, customer service. That's where the majority of the insurance company started experimenting, looking at when somebody calls to report a claim or to ask questions about the coverage, how can you turn that voice transcript and measure the intent, but how can you also reroute it to an actual person to answer questions?
Yeah.
After call center, we started seeing AI use cases around claims and underwriting. Simple things like, what type of risk do I want to write? Yeah. Do they have the right coverage? Is there pre-existing conditions? With the goal of having a good balance between automating as many risks as possible, risks are simpler, but also having underwriting judgment and actuarial judgment when the risk is more complex. And now, as we sit here, we're seeing a lot of pilots on distribution and marketing. So it's really spanning the whole insurance value chain from back office, middle office, front office.
You mentioned the FINS forum, the financial forum, here in New York. Did that just happen here?
Yes.
And that was financial services?
Yes.
So I need to ask you, because every vertical, finance, insurance, legal, they're all having the same pattern. AI is disrupting in a very accelerated way value.
Yes.
Startups are coming out of the woodwork, very specialized. Bigger players are becoming transforming if they've done the right things. What is the AI opportunity for these verticals? What's the general pattern?
So financial services, we have about 2,000 clients in financial services. 505 are insurance companies. What we've seen is that we're broadening the base, meaning just even looking at Databricks overall, 20,000 customers. Out of those 20,000 customers, about 800 have revenue, ARR, greater than $1 million. And about 70 of those 800 have annual recurring revenue of greater than $10 million. So they're doing more with Databricks, And you may be wondering, well, what does that matter? Well, because that means that all of these nascent concepts and paradigms that we created, such as the Lakehouse, now the Lakebase, are really being embraced by the industries. And these companies, these customers, as you know, we're pay-go, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't charge by license or any of that. The more value, the more usage they have of Databricks, the bigger the account is, and the more success they're probably seeing around not only infrastructure or productivity, but also business outcomes.
You know, it's hard to keep track of all the news that Databricks is coming out with. In MWC, we had a great conference around telecom, another vertical, another domain. The developer traction, the enterprise traction, I tried to pin Ali Ghodsi down about, oh yeah, the agent, all that, and AGI. He says,
Yeah.
John, there's so much hype. He goes, but let's just solve real world problems.
That's right.
And he goes, it sounds boring, but the reaction in the enterprise specifically is to get a lot of the blocking and tackling done, get the basics done, and get adoption.
Yes.
What is the latest key things that people should know about with Databricks right now in terms of news? What are the key momentum points? Because there's a lot. There's you got the Lakehouse, you have now different versions of it. Now you have different tooling. The platform is got on serverless.
Yes.
So the performance is there. So there's a lot more going on. What's the latest? You have to summarize the top key things that people should know about.
Yes, so two things. Normally, every time we have our company kickoff, Ali tells us there's 5 things, 5 company priorities. Now he made it even simpler for us, and it's only 2. One of them is Lakebase. So you being so familiar with Databricks, you know that we started solving 3 main problems. So one of them was about not having lock-in on your data. You shouldn't give your data to anybody, not even Databricks. We don't ingest data. So we started with just the open formats, and it's not on just Delta, is Iceberg, is Hoodie. Now we have Postgres within the open format. The second challenge that we saw is companies wanted to have the right governance around all of the assets. So we've been evolving Unity Catalog. That would always be changing and improving on that. But now you have the different Lakehouse products. So think about Lakeflow Connect for ingestion of the data. We have Lakeflow Designer, which is, allows you to have the ability to drag and drop data. But with Lakebase, what makes it very unique is that we are looking at your transactional operational data being governed, separating that compute versus storage with the same architectural pattern that we will have for the Lakehouse. So now you have the Lakehouse for your analytical workloads, and now you have Lakebase for your transactional operational, all governed by the same platform. And what that allows you to do is, so going back to the 1-2 company priorities, the first one is Lakebase. That's what's new. And the second thing or feature that we've been getting a lot of adoption from clients is AI BI Genie. When we talk about AI BI Genie, it's more than just the toy chatbot that everybody has.
Yeah.
Is how can you interact with your data in natural language so that it's not just pulling data from the internet, but it is understanding the context of your data by looking at your metadata, looking at query patterns. And it's not just doing a simple retrieval augmented generation, pulling the right data to give you an answer, but it tells you why. It gets into root cause analysis. So Ali, as an example, he showed during kickoff that if you have a pattern on usage on $DBUs, which is how we look at revenues, and you see an outlier, you can start interrogating Genie on why that is, and it shows you, gives you the transparency on the drivers of that anomaly, but it also runs analysis. It runs time series analysis, and with a click of a button, you can also see the SQL code. So it knows what table and which field column to pull based on your metadata.
And this is also a transition we're hearing about, static dashboards. A lot of data is out there. The whole analytics world is transformed to generative AI. So How are people using Genie, for instance? Can you share some examples of where it's working and how should they think about it?
Good question. So when I joined Databricks about 4 years ago, it was a very heavily tech company, meaning that the main users were your data scientists, your data engineers, your enterprise architects. And to be honest with you, we heard from customers that they wanted to get, let's say, the quasi-technical people to interrogate the data, to get into the platform and benefit from all of that goodness. So I'm an actuary by background, and actuaries are sitting somewhere between a data scientist and a business person. So now we're seeing a lot of adoption from actuaries, especially in insurance, on using Genie as the interface to talk to the data, to go beyond the dashboards, as you said it. But now I can tell you that even looking at CFOs, chief financial officers, chief marketing officers, chief underwriting officers interacting with Genie, where we basically say we're meeting users where they are. We're not asking them to log into a separate, Databricks workspace and run code like we normally do with notebooks. But interoperability is key. So we're seeing
you got both sides. You got the nerd factor.
Yes.
People want to go under the hood. Go to town on that one.
Yeah.
But the business users get to engage on the business model transformation. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. So let me give you an example. So for insurance, you can start asking questions about what is my profitability for my book of business. We call it combined ratio. You can ask, why is my combined ratio deteriorating? And it will pull that data. It will tell you, is it the same across the states? Does it vary by product? Is it different across lines of business? From a banking example, you can look at a lot of the scenario testing. So for example, what would be the effect that 200 basis points change would have on my commercial real estate exposure? So those types of questions are the ones that you can answer with Genie. And the cool thing about this is that it understands your ontology. It understands how you define revenue, how do you define profitability, even the time component on when you're talking about by year, are you talking about calendar year, fiscal year? So that's the power of Genie.
And it's accurate. It's not like just some report.
Yeah.
It's this runtime.
Exactly. So for the business users, they would interrogate, they would do the self-service analytics. For the data scientists and all of our fan base from a technical perspective, they can build agents, they can have the applications, they will connect to MCP servers. And there's a lot of functionality on the main 4 things that Databricks does around agents. One of them is knowledge management. The other one is information extraction. Some very mature companies want to build their custom large language models. And there are others that want to decompose the workflow, whatever that workflow may be, and have domain-specific agents. But what we were talking about today, that it is not about task automation, it's how do you orchestrate those outcomes and having that governance, having that lead.
Yeah, and then that's where generative AI shines. Marcela, I have to ask you, obviously insurance is one of the many verticals that are winning with AI and changing fast. But take me through the engagement of a customer. Because one pattern that's happening is the classic freemium model. I won't say you guys do this, but I mean, in some cases, like, here, try it and do a pilot, a fast one, and then they get addicted to it, they see the value, and they go, I'm all in. In legal, we see a lot of that. Like, they're all skeptics, so I'll try it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are a lot larger platform, but take us through the engagement. What's it like with customers as they start to get ingratiate into the platform? What do they discover? What's the adoption, and what's the flywheel look like for value? How do they react? Take us through a slice of life.
So I would say that the our greenfield customers. I was just at the Financial Services Forum. I was remembering my first prospect dinner I had. I knew very little, and the platform had changed a lot, right? But I would say with a greenfield customer or prospect, they used to start by use cases. So what I mean by that is, just the typical, ETL. They were just using us for as a distributed computing processing engine. But now we started realizing that the pattern on how you can really scale AI going from because use cases sometimes they're very
narrow.
Small. Yeah, it's very, very tactical. Some of our customers are just trying to get that competitive advantage.
And by the way, the personas are unique.
Yes.
It's not like a whole organizational thing.
Correct. It's very, very hard to scale. So what we started doing is coming up with the concept of outcome maps. So I have to give it to Bhavesh Patel. He's my boss's boss. He leads all go-to-market for all verticals. And he said, we're growing really fast, and how can we connect the technical with the business? So what we did is, specifically for financial services, we built a framework on identifying the three main strategic priorities that financial services would have. One of them is driving growth. Second one is protect the firm, because we live in a very heavily regulated industry. And the third one was being more efficient. So John, now what we're doing is we're shifting the mindset of by use case to by persona. So let me give you an example. So on the efficiency side, we see Office of the CFO as one of the main business objectives that feeds into those strategic priorities. And below that, you have different use cases that are mapped to that. So think about treasury, think about FP&A, finance, planning, and accounting, think about regulatory workloads. So what we started doing is we created a whole set of solutions. Some of them are developed by Databricks, some of them we rely on our partners, that provides that speed to market. Because you'll hear from Ali. Ali says the reason why having the conversation around product roadmap is important because we don't want customers to be spending money on things that we're building. So taking that analogy.
So he's transparent on the roadmap for that reason.
Correct. He's always talking, and then he said, don't spend money on things that we're already building. He actually just saw a customer of ours last week, and he was just he has 20,000 customers, right? But he still, takes the time because the feedback that we get from the customers on not only strategic priorities and use cases, but also what is the ecosystem for a particular vertical look like? What are the external data providers? What are the connectors Databricks should be building and should be adding to the marketplace?
Yeah.
So all of that intelligence, we got it from the customers, and we build not only our product roadmap that is very horizontal by product, but these outcome maps I alluded to earlier represents the vertical product roadmap with strategic priorities, business objectives, and use cases that ultimately...
Yeah, I mean, that's also good politics for him because if you know the customer is going to save money, or spend money, and you can save it, that's one good business.
Yeah, exactly. And historically, we looked at, because as you know, change management, and everybody has most companies have a data platform. So even get them started with Databricks. Right now, a lot of our customers are more mature than others, but let's say the ones that are prospects, they need to have a business case to their boss, and just why would I rip out the architecture? Everybody's trying to rationalize it, so just even bring in new technology, regardless of how powerful it is, they have, they need to quantify the value.
Well, I'm super psyched to have you on. Final 30 seconds we have left. Tell the people why Databricks, why they should work with you, what's in it for them. Here's a pitch.
You put me on the spot. No, I mean, listen, we're all talking about jobs with a purpose, right? I have a 7-year-old daughter that, I don't think she wants to be an actuary like I am. But what really keeps me going every single day is how Databricks, our founders, are still teaching, right? So I'll close with how Ali just launched Databricks One and Databricks Free Edition. So that you don't need a credit card to use Databricks. So that to me, the democratization of data and AI, when in a world everybody was talking about data and we were being very, very quiet about AI, now it's the other way around. And being with people that are still have a lot of their DNA in academia and continue to teach, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it's such a great service. In fact, they're cheering so loud for the trays behind us, waiting for Databricks. Thank you so much for coming on. Mixture of experts. Databricks continuing doing the work. They're still private company, but the valuation is so high, and again, the success is continuing. Data lakes have emerged into the bloodstream of success for AI, and having the right data with the right compute. Certainly the edge is hyper-converging. Everything's coming together in distributed computing. It's computer science happening for the real world. We're doing our part to bring that to you. Thanks for watching.